Welcome to Investors Insights, episode 171. Today we'll be discussing, can we keep the momentum? Can the market keep the momentum going? So don't forget to connect with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. We'd like to continue the discussion there, so let's get right to the topics that are important to today's investors.
You're listening to Investors Insights with Greg Powell and the Portfolio Strategy team from Five Plan Partners.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Bobby. Good to see you.
A lot to cover today.
Yep.
Greg is out this morning, so it's the three of us. A lot to go over. It's a big week. Got a lot of earnings. The political conventions kick off, and so that will be in the news, of course. So let's get started. Ashley, talk about earnings.
Yeah, so far, Bobby's right. This is a huge week for earnings. We've got 90 companies reporting. Up until this point, through Friday afternoon, we'd only reported about 7%, small amount of the index, but we're going to make up for it this week, not only in quantity, but the type of company it is. So you'll see a lot of earnings reports this week, again, 90 total. And not only will you have a lot, it's a very broad cross-section, but primarily to focus in on, you have a lot of large manufacturers that you know, both domestic and international, a lot of consumer-type products. So by the end of the week, not only are we going to have a lot of quantitative data with that, we're going to have a lot of qualitative data across a lot of sectors about how that's doing. And we've had 2 or 3 drags, of course, in these major sectors. We've talked about low oil prices. You know, that hits the energy sector, large sector. You know, we've had low interest rates and small merger and acquisition activity. Well, that hits the financial sector because your margins are not as high, and because of the M&A activity, you don't have as much fee income. So that gets hit. So you have a lot of different factors being hit like that. So we're going to watch that very carefully this week. Also, what we've noticed is it hadn't popped up in earnings yet. It wouldn't, but on the Brexit vote. But you can already see that some companies are beginning to issue some level of discussion for forward guidance on that. For example, we noticed this morning one major airline, for example, is already saying that in the winter they'll probably cut their flights back to the UK. We saw another food company saying they sell about 8% there. They're already starting to discuss in fourth quarter cutting back. So that's starting to creep in a little bit, but so a lot of data this week.
A lot of information on what's happened and then what's going to happen from CEOs is very important.
Correct.
What we're looking for here out of the S&P 500 is not just our earnings growing, because we expect them to decline, but are they beating estimates? The historic average we're looking for above 66% beat would be great trend. And would help fill in, like Bobby said, we've had some great momentum. Will help hopefully fill that hole where the market has maybe gotten a little extended in terms of historic price to earnings ratio. We get some earnings expectations increase. We get to fill in that overpriced estimate.
Yeah, past 2 weeks we've been saying we're looking for surprises. Expectations are low for earnings, and we got some good beats last week, and so that's what's driving the momentum. But you know, again, we talked about it. Now that the conventions start, attention will be paid very closely to Trump's policies this week with the Republican convention kicking off today. Trey, talk about that.
So what's important about this is, you know, there's going to be a lot of grandstanding, a lot of pomp and circumstance, but this will be the first time really that Donald Trump has the podium all to himself with a lot of viewers and a lot of time. And so hopefully we'll get to see some of his some more detail on his policy positions, and then maybe the market will either be more skittish or less skittish on the possibility of a Trump presidency. And so it'll be very important. You know, most historically, these conventions aren't as important because you kind of know the platform of the candidate. I think more than any other time, there's more unknown about the platform of a Trump presidency, and we should get a whole lot of that clarity this week. So I think there's going to be a lot of eyeballs watching that, and the market are very unlikely to react in the short term, but this will lay the groundwork for how the market will react as the polls and the election moves on.
Yeah. And so, again, the theme this week is, can the market keep up its momentum?
Right.
We've had a lot of great economic numbers come out the past 2 or 3 weeks. A great consumer confidence, retail sales are going up, jobs numbers are better. Even the 2 of the reports we have been looking at closely, they've been negative. Industrial production and then small business confidence, they're starting to go up. So, can we keep this momentum? We'll be watching everything very carefully. And as always, if you have any questions, please let us know. Have a great week.